Then, dear colleagues, dear friends, dear guests, dear civil society representatives, a very warm welcome once again to the last day of our Civil Society Week here, and especially to this award ceremony of the ESC Civil Society Prize, which is one of the top, I would say, top events during our Civil Society Week. It's a long-standing prize that rewards engagement and commitment to civil society engagement. And you know that the theme of this 15th edition is combating harmful polarization of European society. And let me say one word before, because I think it's also important to emphasize that polarization per se is not something negative. It's not something negative. We have different views, we have different interests in our societies, and I think this house of organized civil society is a good example that we do not always agree on everything. So polarization is not a bad thing per se. On the contrary, is a part of a lively democracy. And I think the formulation of different, even sharp opinions and of disagreement can also enrich the democratic debate. So it can lead to a constructive dialogue. And as I said, we see this every day in our committee. Our members have different point of views, but they are also open to compromise, to make compromises. And I think this is important, to have a dialogue, a respectful dialogue, and to try to find compromises. And I think in this house we have a long-standing tradition of this compromise, which actually strengthen the opinions of our house. I have to acknowledge it's not always possible. We know this also in recent plenary debates. We have some strong feelings, and we cannot always reach a consensus. But even then we have some mechanisms. We call this counter-opinion and amendments. It works, and this is also part of democracy. And I think it's important also to appreciate this. But we all know it's not always like this. It's not always like this. Often polarization is linked with hostility. With hostility, sometimes violation, even with hate. And this hinders consensus and increases social tensions. When this is the case, dear colleagues, dear friends, then it fuels conflicts within society and it erodes trust in our institutions, including our institution here in the ESC. And this harmful polarization puts democracy at risk. Today, unfortunately, we are witnessing this more than ever. We have hundreds or even hundreds of thousands of examples. But let me say, when even presidents, one of the biggest powers in the world, are attacking independent judges with hate speech, colleagues, then I think we crossed the line. We crossed the line, and it's really time to stand up and to speak against this. And today, not only these examples, but society as a whole, and even, as I said, some governments are becoming more confrontational, more polarized, and less open to dialogue and compromise. We see also, and yesterday I had a very enriching and encouraging meeting with the journalists, and I think many of you are here again. We can see this media pluralism is also shrinking, and there are threats to media freedom, unfortunately also in Europe, also in the European Union. And against this background, polarization often leads to a growing mutual distrust and even to hostility. Our committee is deeply concerned about the increase of harmful polarization within the EU and about its impact on democracy and social cohesion. And this is nothing new. It's not only that we are concerned for this Civil Society Week, but we are working to combat this harmful polarization already for a while and for years, I have to say. And therefore, I'm grateful that this is also a key topic here and today. We can see that multiple crises, such as the pandemic, the energy crisis, the cost of living, the war in Ukraine, increasing social instability, together with the decreasing importance of shared values, the feeling of not being heard and the mistrust in the capacity of public authorities to provide effective, sustainable and fair answers are a breeding ground for harmful polarization. In such a context, it is of course easier for extreme groups or individuals to spread polarizing narratives with exacerbate underlying divisions in society and undermine the trust of citizens in democratic institutions. We all know that social platforms are often used or misused as a tool to spread divisive narratives and hate speech. Disinformation and the lack of critical thinking reinforce prejudices and can lead to radicalization. Civil society plays an important role in monitoring this dangerous polarization, both online and offline, and in preserving our democracy from authoritarian tendencies. For this reason, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, our committee decided to award its Civil Society Prize to organizations which prevent or which combat harmful polarization of European society. And in this respect, we received a big number of applications, more than 50 applications from across Europe. They cover a wide range of topics, ranging from youth engagement, and you know this is a key priority here in the House. Once again, I value very much the contribution of the yeas from last week, but also of young representatives this week. This is important. But we received also initiatives and applications about empowerment to social cohesion and inclusion, disinformation to human rights and gender equality, from climate change to migration. So it was really a wide range of topics. And some projects tackle the problem at its roots and prevent polarization. They promote open dialogue, civic engagement, and media literacy. They counter disinformation and build a culture of tolerance. Other projects combat polarizing narratives and radicalization. They bridge cultural, ethnic, and generational gaps, address societal divisions, foster mutual understanding and cooperation, and protect fundamental rights. A few projects, I would like to mention this, a few projects have also an artistic approach and demonstrate that culture and media can play a transformative role in depolarizing society. Among all the applications, we have chosen 3 projects that should be rewarded today. And these projects, which promote debate, critical thinking, tolerance, and constructive journalism. I would like to warmly welcome the representatives of the 3 winners. I will not yet say who's number 1, 2, and 3, but you all 3 are winners, and I would like to mention you in alphabetic orders. The winners are Diversité from Belgium, Reporter d'Espoir from France, and Slovak Debate Association from Slovakia. A big applause for you. Dear winners, we had already a bit time to chat before because we had a slight delay. Really, thank you for being with us here today during this ESC Civil Society Week. Here, civil society organizations, including employers, trade unions, NGOs, and other groups have gathered at the ESC to discuss how to strengthen cohesion in polarized society. And today we are rewarding your 3 projects that show concrete ways to prevent and combat harmful polarization. And before we will then tell you who is number 1, 2, and 3, but all 3 are winners, we have prepared a video to introduce the projects, and I propose that we will watch the video together before revealing your ranking. Once again, congratulations and applause for you, and then we will watch the video.
A perfect storm is brewing in Europe. The rise of populism and deepening social divisions are testing the foundations of democracy. As populist parties gain ground, they're fueling a toxic polarization that's spreading across society. Meanwhile, the media landscape is fragmenting and fake news is on the rise, threatening the very values that Europe holds dear. But there's hope. The 15th EESC Civil Society Prize celebrates the power of community-led initiatives to bridge the gaps and bring people together. This year's winners, chosen from 15 EU countries, showcase innovative solutions to combat harmful polarization and foster a more inclusive Europe. Let's hear their stories and discover how civil society is leading the way towards a more united and democratic future. Diversité, Belgium. Far-right ideologies are a growing threat to human rights, democracy, and equality. The threat is spreading across the globe. To combat this, FEC Diversity in Belgium has created the Far-Right Escape Game, a groundbreaking experience that promotes inclusion through immersive gameplay. Players are infected with far-right ideologies and must work together to decontaminate themselves by completing challenges that reveal how these ideologies are spread and the harm they cause. With nearly 1,000 players already detoxified since its launch, the game is gaining traction across Europe, with trade unions, schools and other organisations taking notice. Next, the team plans to launch a digital version of the game to expand its reach and spark vital conversations about the dangers of far-right extremism. Reporter d'Espoir, France. In a world where daily news can fuel anxiety and distrust, a new approach is emerging: solutions journalism. By focusing on positive, problem-solving stories, it offers a way to inspire and empower. The European Young Reporters of Hope Award is leading the charge, training young journalists in French-speaking Europe to tell stories of hope and progress. Since 2020, this programme by Reporter d'Espoir has nurtured a community of nearly 800 aspiring journalists, with 100 already honing their skills through online courses, mentorship and networking opportunities in Paris. With plans to expand to other European languages, the award is poised to amplify the voices of a new generation of journalists, spreading a message of optimism and change. Slovak Debate Association, Slovakia. In Slovakia, an alarming trend has emerged. 2/3 of the population distrust the media, and over half believe in conspiracy theories. Poor media literacy habits are also rampant, with only 16% of young people verifying online information. But a groundbreaking solution is underway: the Critical Thinking Olympiad. Launched in 2021 by the Slovak Debate Association, this innovative competition challenges students to evaluate real-world media scenarios from AI-generated content to social media posts. With nearly 9,000 students across 3 different age groups from over 300 schools participating last year, the programme has been a resounding success. And its impact is spreading. Czechia has already adopted a similar model, paving the way for a European-wide movement to build resilience against misinformation and promote critical thinking among the next generation.
Thank you, Mr. President, for opening this ceremony. Thank you for your presence today at the European Economic and Social Committee. Before revealing the ranking of the winners, I would like to point out that with the Civil Society Prize honors non-profit projects carried out in the EU, which have made an outstanding contribution to the promotion of the European values. For each edition, we choose a different topic, the one we estimate to be especially pressing or relevant for the times we live in. This 50th edition of the prize is dedicated to the polarization of the society. The theme is extremely topical today. Opinions are political and political positions are drawing apart. People are increasingly hostile to those who have different views. Willingness to dialogue and compromise are shrinking. Bad polarization is increasing. These signals are alarming because a high degree of bad polarization puts social cohesion
and democracy at stake. Luckily, in Europe, we have many initiatives which prevent and combat this harmful polarization. Organized civil society plays a fundamental role in safeguarding European democracy, as has been proven yet again by this year's remarkable and wide-ranging entries. Recent research has drawn a clear picture of polarization in Europe. It is not a surprise for me that the debate is highly polarized on issues such as climate change, migration, the war in Ukraine, the pandemic, and social benefits. But I was very much surprised to read that the most polarized people are the older ones, people with a high level of education, and people who live in large cities. Professor Torkal is one of the evaluators of the Civil Society Prize this year. He is an expert in affective and ideological polarization. His research covers not only the EU countries, but also the United States and South America. This is particularly interesting in the current geopolitical context. In 2022, he published a study on affective polarization in times of political instability and conflict. Mr. Torkal is connected with us from Spain online and will give us some insight on polarization. Professor, thank you very much for being with us this morning, and now you have the floor in order to share with us some of your perceptions. Gracias.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about affective polarization. It has been an honor for me to be a member of the committee who gave those prizes and evaluated all the proposals that were actually fantastic. I want to address the point and give an opportunity to revise a little bit on what kind of polarization are we talking about and why we are so worried about it. So just let me share my work with you, if I'm able to. Sorry. Well, it's not working the way it was supposed to. I'm sorry about this. Well, just let me explain why this is very important in the discussion. First, let me say that when we talk about polarization, and it has been addressed in the introductory speech by the President Oliver Rocket, polarization by definition is not something bad. Societies, and for the sake of democracy, we need some level of polarization or confrontation. In fact, that was the concern in the 80s and 90s, that polarization was actually something that we needed in our societies. However, it's a difference between what is called ideological extremism, ideological polarization, and affective polarization. Ideological extremism and ideological polarization are, let's put it very simple, it's not the bad polarization. What is concerning is the affective polarization. Affective polarization is based on sentiments, and it's based on a basic sentiment of like and dislike, to producing a space of confrontation between citizens. So in fact, if we talk about affective polarization, in other words, refers to the polarization driven by partisan identities, which evolve into mega identities, and I will talk about that a little bit. So the definition of affective polarization arises when citizens, individuals, show a strong sympathy toward their own identity in groups, while expressing hostility toward identity out groups. So it has two important components, which is affinity to the own social group. And I'm talking about here, not the party itself, but the group that you identify as your group, your partisan group, and hostility toward the rest. I have to say those things are not always connected. And in fact, it could exist animosity, which is based in some kind of negative partisan identification, without having some level of affinity. And that is also bad because it's driving the political systems towards a dynamic of mutual hostility that is reshaping the public sphere and also the party competition in our systems. So So what are the main things when we talk about effective polarization and consequences? Well, increasingly divides the world into partisan groups and partisan groups, transforming and reducing complex societies issues into a single dimension which is us versus them. It limits the ability to find common ground on areas of dialogue in order to constructively and consensually address mutual challenges. It's also effective visions of the political world by producing biases and prejudices, activates motivated reasoning, converting voters into partisan hooligans, and that is affecting negatively the process of electoral accountability. Citizens do not make politicians accountable for their actions. That's what it means. It means they justify whatever they do just because they are on my side, they are on my team, okay? It affects other aspects of social life, like lifestyles, social circles, hobbies, and even social interactions, obviously. Partisan social identities are becoming essential social sorting elements. It means they are creating these mega identities I referred before. So in a way, they are reorganizing, resorting the existing conflicts in our societies, driving by basic partisan identities, which is reinforcing the social differences and creating these mega identities in our societies. And as has been mentioned, it fostered the deterioration of basic democratic attitudes such as political trust, support for liberal democratic principles, and other elements. So it is absolutely essential in our society, and that's the purpose of this prize, to try to comment this effective polarization. And it's important, particularly important from the civil society. I think that civil society has an important role in playing and diminishing the impact of this effective polarization, because we cannot forget that politicians are always tempted to activate this because you prefer to have partisan hooligans than have voters that might ask you for responsibilities and being accountable for you not accomplishing or promising your electoral promises. So in a way, I think that temptation is high there, and I think the role of the civil society in combating this problem that is really becoming very essential in our societies, in our democratic societies all over Europe, is an essential element that we have to address in our societies. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this, and also for your involvement in the selection work previously. Now we are getting closer to the announcement of the final hierarchy for this edition. And I would like also to invite the President, Mr. Oliver Robke, to join me over here, starting to read the winners. Let me tell you that the first prize has a value of 14,000 euro. The second and the third prize have a value of 9,000 euro each. I will start now with the third prize, which goes to Diversité from Belgium. I would like to invite the representative of Diversité in order to share with us. We are having today Ms. Malika Borbous and Ms. Rachida Kois to come over here to receive the prize. And also, if there are other representatives of this organization, please join us over here. You can rotate it. Thank you. Please be so kind and address. Would you like to address some words?
I have a speech for 5 minutes.
Please.
Okay.
Before the speech of the third place in this, let me tell you that the escape games are very fashionable. But this one is very different, and it is not only about having fun. It raises awareness about ideological extremism and fosters dialogue among participants. It engages through experiential learning. It promotes empathy and critical reflection. Its format and emotional engagement make it a replicable model for addressing polarization in educational and community settings. The game has been played not only in Belgium, but also in France and Bulgaria, and it has raised interest in Switzerland and the United Kingdom also. It is planned to be translated in several languages. I have the pleasure to invite you to deliver your statement. Please.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to apologize in advance for my English. I will try my best. On behalf of the diversity team, I want to sincerely thank the jury of the European Economic and Social Committee. It is truly an honor to be here. When we launched our far-right escape game 2 years ago, we never imagined it would become such a success, let alone receive a European award. Fighting against far-right ideologies is a complex, sensitive, and challenging task. It requires courage to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty. But we did not want it to address this crucial issue in a conventional way, by simply organizing a training session or inviting experts to speak. We wanted to break the mold, leave a lasting impact, and fully immerse in an experience where they could truly feel the issue at stake. The concept of the game is based on the idea that we are all at risk of being contaminated and that we must find a way to escape this toxic plague. The escape game does not downplay the seriousness of far-right ideologies, which are both dangerous and deeply unsettling. But it allows participants to engage with the issue proactively through experience, touch, emotion, and interaction. This approach is more light-hearted and impactful, and it stimulates all the senses. Throughout the game, participants have to face various challenges. They read deeply moving letters written from the perspective of migrants, which stir strong emotions. They touch and reassemble different objects. They listen to a speech accompanied by music and 39 images. They witness the impact of far-right policies on the most targeted communities, women, Muslims, the LGBT community, and more. And finally, they win chocolates and candy by coming up with powerful comebacks to hateful remarks like, "All these thugs are just here to take advantage of our country." At the end of the experience, each participant receives a red triangle pin, a symbol of resistance against far-right ideologies, as it was put onto the clothing of resistance fighters in concentration camps. We then ask participants to choose the emotion that resonated most with them from the following: angry, shocked, desperate, determined to inform as many people as possible, and aware of what's at stake. Most participants choose determined to inform as many people as possible and aware of what's at stake. For us, this is a huge victory because it means we are raising awareness. Fighting against the harmful polarization of our society will be crucial in the coming years because, yes, we are different, but imagine if we were all the same haircuts, same direction, same thoughts. We'd be like Playmobil figurines, and that would be terribly boring. Our world is made up of 195 countries, 4,000 schools of thoughts, 7,000 languages, and an endless spectrum of skin tones and cultural nuances. This diversity enriches our lives and encounters. Traveling and discovering new cultures are what makes us grow. Our differences are not what divide us, our fears do. and the way politics of exclusion manipulate those fears to divide us and to serve the interests of the powerful. What really divides us is that the rich keep getting richer, while the poor keep getting poorer. Let us not be fooled. Our planet and our democracy are in danger. No, it's not the time to let our humanity shrink back in fear or grow darker in resentment. Now is the time to be braver and more united than ever. Free Ukraine, free Congo, free Palestine. Thank you.
We can continue now. The second prize goes to Reporters d'Espoir, Reporters of Hope, from France. It is my pleasure to invite Mr. Gilles van den Putten and Mr. Christophe Leclerc to come to the podium. Commercial journalism is sometimes a driver of polarization. Tackling this issue through the promotion of constructive journalism is a timely and impactful strategy. Your project addresses the role of media in polarization. It encourages solutions journalism among young people. It challenges sensationalist narrative and promotes a more balanced public discourse. This initiative could play a vital role in rebuilding public trust in the media and encouraging critical and engaged consumption of news content. Congrats and thank you so much.
Thank you so much to ESC and its jury member. It's a real boost for us to give us more legitimacy. This prize rewards an approach we launched 20 years ago in France, solutions journalism, and it has inspired since a lot of media in Europe and abroad. Our belief is simple. The media can be agents of resignation when they amplify catastrophism and polemics, but they can also be positive forces for change by spreading the knowledge of initiatives that bring answers to ecological, economic, social problems, and they can inspire us to take action. More specifically, this prize honors the European Young Reporters d'Espoir program. Over the past 4 years, we have built a community of 50 networks in Europe and Francophonie, 800 young people aged under 30, coming from 30 countries. And we provide them concretely a support program with online training on solution journalism, coaching with journalists, an award for the best report they write, and a learning expedition in Paris to meet media experts and experts from Europe. I would like to invite you to join us on September 15. We'll be at Europa Experience Paris. We will get together winners and 60 people to imagine stories that can make Europe more desirable. Our objective is double. First, help young Europeans raise their writing skills and critical thinking. And secondly, promote solutions Europe offers. Our ambition is to train a generation of promoters of the European democratic model. We'll demonstrate our model is not so bad and is much more enviable than those of the countries we face the attacks currently. That's why we aim at developing the Reporters d'Espoir program in the 3 coming years into 3 new languages, in addition to French, with a budget from 70 to 200,000 euros, in order to be able to spread the word about Europe of solutions. So we need committed philanthropists. I want to thank very much those who already help us in France, Fondation du Crédit Mutuel, Fondation Hippocrène, le Ministère de l'Europe, the Fund Jeunes et Innovants, Europe Media Lab, its founder, Christophe Leclerc, is in this room. Thank you for your precious support. So in brief, we want to deliver constructive information as a pillar of European democracy, and welcome to all of you, all forces who would like to join us. Thank you so much.
I have the pleasure now to invite President Oliver Robke to announce the first prize of this edition, the 50th edition of the Civil Society Prize. Oliver, please.
Thank you very much, Laurencio. Now it's not a big surprise anymore, but I have to reveal the first prize, and it's a special honor and pleasure for me to award you. And the first prize, the winner of the first prize, is the Slovak Debate Association from Slovakia. Congratulations. I invite Mr. Richard Vasco and Bianca Terikova to join me. And I think Mr. Viktor Vesely is also with us, so thank you very much. Let me say a few words. It's a big pleasure for us to award you, and I would like to mention that 2 years ago, this committee organized our big conference connecting EU in Slovakia, in Bratislava, especially because we know that there are a lot of challenges in Slovakia, and I think in this respect it's a powerful signal that we have this great civil society engagement in Slovakia, because your critical thinking Olympiad equips young people with media literacy and civic engagement skills. It directly addresses misinformation and equips young people with tools to critically evaluate digital content. It fosters resilience against polarization, and with its innovative, gamified approach, your project has already engaged over 9,000 participants, and we know that it has inspired similar approaches in other countries, including the Czech Republic, and could be adapted and expanded to other contexts or regions. And for these achievements, the ESC awards you the first prize. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And now I invite you, the winners, to address our audience. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll just take my notes, guys. Thank you so much. This is amazing. It's such a great honor to be here. Honestly, I mean, I'm still processing the emotion. We're so glad to feel like we're seen, to feel like our work matters. We put so much into it, so much volunteer work, so much of our time. And being in an environment which is not always that supportive towards our work can be difficult. And we are resilient, but you know, being surrounded with people who acknowledge and value our work it's just amazing. And another thing that is amazing is the projects I've discovered from other countries and the beautiful speeches. Thank you so much. You know, yeah, truly, we are all winners here today. Anyway, why are we here? The Critical Thinking Olympiad is a project of the Slovak Debate Association. It's already been mentioned, you know, the basic stuff, but, you know, just to very quickly recap, it's an educational intervention designed to foster critical thinking, media literacy, constructive communication skills, and the ability to identify logical fallacies among young people. There are basically three pillars. There is a competitive element, you know, so it's a 3-round competition taking place each year since 2021. Then there's an e-learning platform element where, you know, the students can foster their critical thinking skills in between the competition rounds. And then we also do work with teacher training. Anyway, why do we do that? Well, as it's been already mentioned in the video, you know, there are the scary Eastern European data of like, you know, 2/3 of the population don't trust the media and everything. And it's true, you know, it's partially true. It's a problem all across Europe, but in Slovakia, we are indeed struggling with this. That's why we started with the Critical Thinking Olympiad. However, I mean, there's a consensus that we need a solution to these problems of polarization, disinformation, hate speech, etc. Right? However, we in the Slovak Debate Association believe that there are 3 things we need for the solutions to be effective. First, they need to be evidence-based. Then they need to be scalable. And third, and for me most importantly, they need to be inclusive. When it comes to evidence-based interventions. So disinformation, polarization, we know that it's a problem. However, recent research shows us that not all approaches, even with like well-intentioned approaches, are efficient. You know, sometimes when we just debunk and attack the people that we don't agree with, they tend to retreat, you know. Some people, including perhaps us, very often fall into the positions of moral superiority when we are supposed to explain and bestow others with truth. It just does not work. We're not the owners of truth, and we need to build transferable skills and educational interventions which are repeated and build the transferable skills of young people who are then able to value you know, different opinions, have fact-based discussions. This is what some meta-studies, you know, they actually exist. I can give you the links later. Show us that whereas debunking is not always that effective, educational interventions which build on transferable skills work. For us, in Slovakia, it seems to work as well. You know, 93% of the teachers that we work with say that resilience against disinformation and fake news has been significantly strengthened by participating in the Critical Thinking Olympiad. So we're very glad to see the result. But another thing that is very important is to have early intervention. Right, so we work with kids as early as 12 or 13 years, which is when they usually start, you know, downloading the TikToks and everything, and they fall into the rabbit holes, and the algorithms kind of crunch them. We need to start then. No, like once they already form opinions which are radical, it's very difficult to get them out. So early intervention, very important for us as well. Second point, scalability. When we applied, it was 9,000 people who participated last year. This year, we had our first round in December, and it was already 18,000 people. So we are still growing, and very happy to see that. 18,000 people just from Slovakia, from 500 schools. How is it scalable? Well, 2 things. First, it's mostly online. If we disregard the national finale, most of it takes place online, so there are not that many physical barriers. Second thing is that Victor, who you could have seen here, he developed an AI program which is designed to automatically grade the answers of the students, which means that we can grow without losing quality. Very, very important for us. But the third thing is inclusivity. And we believe that no matter how good the intervention, if it only reaches the people from our social bubble, then it's just not going to work. Then we end up preaching to the choir. So we are really making an effort to get to all the places where getting educational interventions as this one is very difficult. And we're very glad to report that we've currently penetrated 78 out of the 79 districts in Slovakia. We are not only concentrated in elite schools, actually 53% of the schools are vocational schools. And we're also trying to be linguistically inclusive. Slovakia is a very diverse country, and we have also a Hungarian linguistic version. So all of these things help us make the Critical Thinking Olympiad available for everybody. So anything that ought to depolarize must be accessible for all. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I have just like a few sentences. Sorry, I know I'm being too long probably. But the future that awaits us, just bear with me one more minute. We're trying to spread it even further because we feel like this is a very low-cost model, which actually seems to work. And as it's been mentioned, our brothers from the Czech Republic have already adapted it. We're very glad to see that. We really aim for cross-EU dissemination. In the next 2 years, we're planning to standardize the critical thinking Olympiad model and work with as many countries as possible to get this model. Once we see it kind of works, then we want to spread it as much as possible. And we also want to go to even lower grades. So work with children who are 10, 11 years old, and the early intervention should be as early as possible. So those are the plans, and the award that we've just received is gonna help us so much with it. So we're incredibly, incredibly grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations for all the winners of this edition. Now we shall still have some minutes in order to take some questions from the journalists. Let me inform about the fact that we have journalists from a lot of member states today in this event, and we can take some questions. So I would like to invite you to address questions to the winners. Please raise your hand when you ask the question, and also identify yourself, tell your name and your organization in order to send the message to the winners of today. Who is going to break the ice, please? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Alicja Lehmann. I work for Polish newspaper Gazeta Wyborcza. First of all, congratulations to all the winners and well done. And my question is very simple. How will you use the award money?
Yes, of course. Micros, please.
So we're going to the Bahamas next week.
I do not know that you have a Bahamas in Slovakia. Which part of Slovakia?
Seriously, this is actually more than half of a yearly budget of the Critical Thinking Olympiad, which, in this day and age when getting funding for NGOs can be quite difficult, especially in this region, it's incredibly valuable. And specifically what we're planning to use it on is to expand to grades 6 and 7. So we've already allocated this to the next year's or next season budget. And starting from September 2025, we're hoping to have like 2 more grades for whom the Critical Thinking Olympiad will be available.
Thank you so much. Please.
Yeah, as we have a prize, Reporters d'Espoir prize, with 10,000 euros to share between 6 awarded people, we will redistribute this money to them.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon. So we, first of all, the first step we digitalize to across Europe, because we need to translate in different language, like Dutch, like English, like German, for example. The second one, we need to put available a short example to our colleagues, the trade union in European or the school in around Europe. And the third, to refresh. It's important because the speech is changing. We have a lot of people around Europe and the citizen, and we need to actualize the speeches in our game to be available and to be in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have to observe the approach of media, follow the money. The next question, please. The lady from Bulgaria, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi, everyone, and congratulations to you all. You really all are winners. I've contacted a few of you, and I've posed my questions ahead. But anyway, I'm really always interested, how will organizers and activists like you continue the projects that you've started? And are you thinking of any next project that you could invest your energy and your skills? My question is, of course, to all of you.
Thank you. Let's take the other way around now, starting with...
Thank you. So we actually have so much success with the escape game right now that it's hard to think of next projects because we really have a lot of people asking us to come do them, which for us means that either we have to like train people so that they can do them themselves, or we actually have to physically be there, someone from our team or more people. But that's why we said like it's very important that we can keep the escape game up to date, first of all. And then I think from the beginning until now, it has changed so much. There are way more workshops in it now than in the beginning. So for now, that is our focus. But as society will evolve, I think we will also try to find new concepts.
Thank you so much. No, over there, please.
Sorry. Thank you. We have other programs at Reporters d'Espoir. We do training for professional journalists, not only for young people, future journalists, but also for journalists. And we are working on several issues, including the environmental issues and biodiversity. You know, the issue everybody talk to tell we don't talk enough about that, because you have the climate crisis and you have a more important crisis, biodiversity. So we'll train journalists on science first and biodiversity after, because only in France, only 2.5% of journalists receive a training on science. So with climate, energy, all these problems, we need very journalists with scientific background. So we'll try to contribute to that. It's one of our actions.
Thank you. Well, we want to stick with the Critical Thinking Olympiad. We're not planning to go to new projects. We think a better approach is to kind of expand and deepen what works. So that's our approach. We as an organization, even though the Critical Thinking Olympiad is only 4 years old, as an organization, we're already 25 years old, and we have a different debate program, which has been running ever since, and we feel like the two are really complementary, and we're not looking to change, rather to expand. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman over there, please. Immediately.
Okay, I'm Ana Maria Kononovic from Radio Romania International. Congratulations to you all, first of all. And my question for you would be if you plan, all of you, because some of you already do, to expand your actions in cooperations with other youngsters from other EU countries. Thank you.
Thank you.
As we've mentioned, we're planning an expansion across European countries. Currently, we're waiting if we receive the funding for that, and if not, we're going to look elsewhere. But the plan now is to work with the Czech Republic, who already have their version of the competition, and then include our friends from Croatia and the Netherlands to kind of like create a model which ideally should work, across Europe with some needs to localize, obviously. So we're collaborating with those two countries, hoping to really find out whether this model is applicable across national specificities and cultures, etc.
About Reporters d'Espoir, we have 50 partners in Europe and Francophonie, and we are willing to work with new organizations because our young Reporters d'Espoir program is only in French today. So we are, we have the ambition to work with other networks, especially in France, Germany, in English language, and Spain, and I hope more, Slovakia, Belgium, for sure. So it's a willing to work.
Over here, please, the last answer at this question.
So I will be answering the question specifically because in my job, I work with young people. But so generally, we have already expanded the escape game, as Marika has said, to France and to Bulgaria, which are just people that asked us to come do it. So we're like, yes, of course. And we're working on translating it into different languages. Now the question was also specific for young people. So we have done the escape game at schools as well. And we are also now going to do it to with young workers here in Brussels in May, working in different European countries. So that will be a first step to expand it to other countries specifically for young people.
Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, because the time is pressing, we shall take the last question. Before that, let me express our gratitude to the team who have prepared this edition, and in particular to Anna Komi, who is over there, and she was a master behind all these events. And I will also have a kind request to the winners to be open during the next minutes to have bilateral talks with the journalists which are interested in your activities. Now, we are going to have the last question, please.
Thank you. Christophe Leclerc, I have another hat, which is to be the founder of Euractiv, the media network present in 20 countries, 12 since 20 years. And therefore, I also have a media hat, not only my board membership of Reporter d'Espoir. And I would like to build on the two previous questions on money and on expansion in Europe. Because my experience is that great ideas are carried by the driving team, founding an idea, convincing sponsors, etc. And then when you expand, sometimes it runs out of steam. So my question is the following. How will you make this European expansion that you all wish or that you have already done to some extent resilient? How will you make the expansion in other countries resilient in terms of money to support these projects?
Support with the micros, please.
Thank you, Christophe, for this question. We'll try to convince philanthropists that, for us, information is a philanthropic cause to support now. I think it's becoming obvious with fake news, with destabilization of democracy. So we have to build a European network, maybe collectively, to attract these philanthropists. Because today, and thank you to EESC, nobody or almost have information in their portfolio. It's not explicitly a cause today. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a tricky question. There is definitely the risk of that. Honestly, so our strategy, how to make this sustainable long term, is to also work with the like formal state bodies and organizations. Because so for us, the conception is that a good NGO project should be kind of like an incubator of finding out what works in a small organization which is agile and can make quick changes. And if we find out that it works, then we should move a bit closer to the state and do it large scale, right? Which can be tricky, but we're still determined that this is like the long-term vision for us, getting more integrated into the formal curriculum and not just being, hoping that we get the next project, With that being said, when it comes to the pan-European expansion, I think we should be very very careful with saying what works, because like the environment in each country is very different. Like how many private donors and philanthropists you have, what's the relationship between the NGOs and the state. So I think like it really depends on, taking into account the local specificities. So I don't think I can like provide a universal model as I sit here, but we're definitely gonna like bear that in mind and trying to look for sustainable sources of funding. Yeah, which is kind of generic, but this is it.
Thank you. Over here, please.
Well, we are a union. we all work for a union, the Green Union of Belgium, ACV-CSC, and we are fully trusting the other union from other countries, and that's how we're going to spread it all around Europe, hopefully. And we have a few German trade union, that are already interested, also in UK, also in Bulgaria, and we are in the right place, I think, here in Brussels, to actually work with them and just always make sure it's still going and it's still up to date and everything. But anyway, we are always working on uniting the unions. That's a way of everyday working in ACV-CSC, so I don't doubt we're going to do it through this escape game too.
Hope I will have your acceptance in order to take the last question after the last question. So I take it as an yes. We shall have a question from our Irish friend, please.
Congratulations to all the winners. I am a reporter with Echo. We're based in Cork, a newspaper. And I suppose my question is mainly to one person, but it could be to three of you, because you have given a very positive outlook with your projects, of tackling issues, of major issues like polarization. Are the media interested enough in positive news?
Thank you for this very particular question.
Yes, thank you.
Please.
More and more. 20 years ago, I was not there in the NGO, but 10 years ago, it was not obvious to talk about constructive or solutions journalism. Now it has become something, everybody in media newsroom talk about that. They do that at a homeopathic maybe level, so we still have a lot to do. But yeah, now it's a part of the software of everybody, I guess. A lot of 90% of journalists know this concept, but they have to practice now. So we work with the UK, and we would enjoy to work with Ireland too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, this is not my primary area of expertise. And critical thinking, part of critical thinking is being intellectually honest and not pretending that you're an expert when you're not. But I have some ideas. So in Slovakia, I feel like the discourse of the need for positive news is emerging. I feel like it's still in a tokenistic fashion, sort of, that say one positive piece of news at the end, just like a notional existence, which is better than nothing. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that since most media companies are private profit-seeking companies, then shock and negative emotion just sell better. So I think there's an inherent part which will always make it difficult to kind of balance these tensions. But it's good that we're trying, that there's this movement.
Thank you so much. Would you like to react also, please, briefly?
Yes, very briefly then. Well, inside of our organization, we have every month a victory, union victory. And we think it's very important to actually keep up our members and keep ourselves up also, because in those harmful polarization that we see in Belgium, throughout Europe, it's important to have good news also. That's it.
Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, we are coming to an end. It is my privilege to invite again the president of the committee, Mr. Robke, dear Oliver, to say the final words. And after the final conclusion, I would like to invite all the winners to come over here and to have a common picture. Please.
Thank you, Laurencio. Dear ladies and gentlemen, my conclusions will be very short, because I think each and every of these projects stand for themselves. I think everything has been said, and it's only up to me once again to say once again congratulations to all the winners and also to all the candidates. Your projects are a true inspiration also for our work in the future to continue working with civil society. I think it is absolutely productive, it's absolutely necessary, and you contribute to reducing conflicts in our society, which is important, harmful conflicts. So thank you very much, because with this you are and we are upholding democratic values, and I think this is the real aim and objective of this whole exercise. So for me, it's now only my pleasure to invite all of you, as Laurenzio Plosiano already announced, afterwards to a small reception just one floor below in Atrium 5. I encourage you all also to stay for our closing session at 2 o'clock. We will have interesting guests. We will have the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Henna Virkkunen. We will have a Vice President of the European Parliament, Mr. Negrescu. We will have the Secretary General of the Serbian Center for Democracy Foundation and President of ALDA, Ms. Natasha Vučović, and the President of Civil Society Europe, Gabriela Civico. So please come to our reception, come to our closing session, but before this, we will make a group picture with all the winners, and once again, a big applause, a final applause for you.